Chapter 673, In Search of the Real Murderer. What now? What about Chen Xiaobei? Song Qinchenj was worried sick. The rims of her eyes were red, and she was doing all she could to hold herself together. She would not allow herself to break down before anything was confirmed. Director Song Qinchenj. You must prepare yourself. Feng Yalun's face was pale. He said in a whisper, the tower has fallen and the fire has swallowed the entire thing, and we've spent nearly 10 minutes trying to put the fire out. Cut the crap. Just tell me. Song Qinchenj barked, completely disregarding Feng Yalun. Right now, all she cared about was Chen Xiaobei. When we found Chen Xiaobei, he was not breathing and there was no pulse. The doctor has confirmed that he's gone. Feng Yalun bowed his head, lowering his gaze. He dared not look at Song Qinchenj in the eyes. Gone? That's impossible. Song Qinchenj nearly lost her footing and fainted, but she steadied herself. Bring me there. I want to see it with my own eyes. Or I will never believe that Chen Xiaobei is dead. He is the strongest man I've ever known. He will not fall in a place like this. He wouldn't. There was not a trace of doubt in her eyes. All right, come with me, Feng Yalun swallowed. Out of fear, Feng Yalun had succumbed to Song Qinchenj's domineering attitude instinctively. By then, Chen Xiaobei's body was already in the body bag, in the ambulance, on its way to the hospital. Song Qinchenj pulled the zip open and asked, why are there no traces of burns? Feng Yalun quickly explained, the doctor said that he must have been trapped inside a vacuum. That's why he was not in contact with the fire. The cause of death is asphyxiation by inhalation of toxic gas. Song Qinchenj has a hunch that things were not as simple as it seemed. Director Feng Yalun, please give us some time alone. Help me keep a lookout. Make sure no one comes in. All right. I understand. Song Qinchenj, you must mourn. Don't do anything stupid, Feng Yalun advised before he left. Once he was out of sight, Chen Xiaobei opened his eyes. Ah! Song Qinchenj was about to scream, but Chen Xiaobei reacted quickly and covered her mouth. Don't scream. Or this would be a waste of my efforts. Chen Xiaobei whispered. Idiot! You scared me. Why are you pretending to be dead? Do you know how worried I was? Song Qinchenj had been holding her tears back and now her eyes flooded and large drops of tears rolled down her cheeks. They were, of course, tears of joy. I only did it because someone wants me dead. The tower was rigged with 4 packs of explosives. Chen Xiaobei explained as he wiped away her tears. Song Qinchenj was aghast. That means that explosion was not the blast team's fault? Someone actually tried to kill you. Chen Xiaobei nodded. Is it the Zhuang family? That was the first name that came to her mind. No. I just took care of the Zhuang family last night. They wouldn't dare lay a hand on me, said Chen Xiaobei. Then who could it be? The Yap family? I mean, you had a feud with Yap Tianlin. That's a no either. They also think that I am a deity. Unless they want to die, they wouldn't dare touch a hair on my head. Chen Xiaobei shook his head and said, you don't need to keep making wild guesses. With me dead, whoever tried to kill me will surely blow their cover. And then, I will make them pay. All right. Since you already have everything planned out, I won't worry anymore. Song Qinchenj licked her red lips and asked, how did you survive the explosion and the fire? Chen Xiaobei flashed her a smile. That's because I thought about you when the explosion happened, and that gave me a mysterious strength, so that I was unscathed. It must have been the power of love that kept me alive. The truth was, Chen Xiaobei paid a huge price to be able to survive the explosion. During the explosion, Chen Xiaobei turned the first prosperous monkey fur into an iron wall to block the impact of the explosion. He then turned the second and third prosperous monkey fur into 2 iron umbrellas to hamper the collapsing wooden tower. At the same time, a large volume of divine river spiritual water was sprayed all over the place so that the flames could not go near him, and also clear the thick cloud of smoke to prevent Chen Xiaobei from suffocating. This explosion had cost Chen Xiaobei so many of his treasures. He would have his revenge. He would them pay many folds. Because Chen Xiaobei could not explain this to Song Qinchench, so he just made up an excuse. Pfft! How could you joke at such a time? Of course, Song Qinchench did not believe him. If you don't want to tell me, then I won't ask. Just get it resolved as quickly as possible and come back safely. Understood. You go home, take a shower and wait for me. Chen Xiaobei winked at her and lay down on the body bag again. Song Qinchench then quietly went back to the filming scene. This unexpected explosion had caused a lot of trouble for the crew. There was a lot of clean-up work to be done. Everyone pitched in, working like ants, having no time to waste. However, there was something good that came out of this inconvenience: a real explosion scene. 4 packs of explosives brought an impacted effect to the production and triggered Tang Mengguan's real sadness. You could say that this explosion was a turnaround for this show. As a film director, Feng Yalun was elated. He felt that he could never in his lifetime ever reproduce a shot this perfect ever again. The only thing Feng Yalun was apprehensive of was that Song Qinchench would not allow that scene to be released. So he was taken aback when Song Qinchench not only agreed to let him use that recording but agreed to cover up the news of Chen Xiaobei's death. This decision made Feng Yalun absolutely over the moon. He beat his chest to show that he would do all he could to complete the rest of the filming to his very best ability for the audience and for the late Chen Xiaobei. With Feng Yalun and Song Qinchench working together, things quickly calmed down at the set. On the other side, Chen Xiaobei has already been sent to the hospital morgue. But he was not in a rush to leave. Lying in the morgue, he took out his phone and opened the red envelope group chat. He is certain that the Zhuang family were not the culprits. To be able to find out who the murderer means that Chen Xiaobei would need the help of the red envelope. Chen Xiaobei, my powerful deity, Qun Li Yan. Are you there? I need a God-Eyes talisman. Determined face. Qun Li Yan, heir. God Chen, don't call me powerful deity. I can't live up to that title. Also, I must tell you beforehand that the price of God-Eyes talisman has increased. Flushed face. Chapter 674, Death is coming. Chen Xiaobei, price increased? What do you mean by that? Last time, you allow me to use a packet of spicy sticks in exchange for a piece of God-Eyes talisman. Qun Li Yan, this. Considering that we are good friend, I'm going to tell you something. This is actually Zhang Zia's doing. He told us that if you try to ask for magical item from us, you need to pay us a certain amount of merit points. No more barter system. What the f***ck? Damn the old man. How can he set such a rule? Clearly, Chen Xiaobei was not happy. Initially, he could just buy a packet of spicy sticks to get the item that he wanted. Now, he was forced to pay with merit points. However, this change in policy did not surprise Chen Xiaobei. During the last red envelope snatching session, with the support from Lady Nuo, Chen Xiaobei managed to land a few slaps on the primeval Lord of Heaven's face. It was no wonder that he wanted to make Chen Xiaobei pay for what he did to him. Zhang Zia was after all the spokesperson of the primeval Lord of Heaven. Almost every deity in heaven had to obey his order. Humph. I will definitely stick to the rule if the rule was set under normal circumstances. Clearly, Zhang Zia is trying to use despicable methods to keep me down. I will definitely not succumb to it. Chen Xiaobei harumphed. Right now, Chen Xiaobei had 930,000 merit points with him. He could be considered extremely rich among the deities. However, it was not about the merit points. No matter what, Chen Xiaobei would not pay the merit points because Zhang Zia had managed to anger him. Chen Xiaobei, brother. We have known each other for quite a long time. Rules are not alive but we are. Let's keep this between me and you. No one else has to know about it. What do you say? Qin Li Yan, I don't think this is appropriate. I will be punished if someone finds out about it. Chen Xiaobei, don't worry. No one will find out about it. I can give you 3 packets of spicy sticks for it. Or, do you have other requests? I will try my best to fulfill them. Qin Li Yan, you are asking me to do something illegal. Chen Xiaobei, really? You don't have to worry about it. I think you should know that Zhang Zia is my sworn enemy, right? Do you really think I will betray you? Qin Li Yan, right. Alright. I can send you a piece of God Eyes talisman. However, I don't want any spicy sticks. I want spicy mini lobsters. Chen Xiaobei, no problem. I will send you a portion of it tonight. I will make sure all the mini lobsters that I send to you are juicy and yummy. Qin Li Yan, deal. Get ready to receive the item. Chen Xiaobei, thank you so much. Let me get back to my business first. Talk to you later. Ding. Congratulations. You have snatched a red envelope from Qin Li Yan. You have received a piece of God Eyes talisman. It has been stored inside your treasure chest. Humph. Primeval my ass. Zhang Zia. Another face-slapping moment for you guys. Come at me with your ridiculous policy. I'm going to beat all of them down with my great mind. In the end, I didn't have to spend a single merit point to acquire the God Eyes talisman. In your face. With a grin on his face, Chen Xiaobei withdrew the God Eyes talisman without hesitation. Upon linking himself to the talisman, it was set on fire. After that, the talisman started to work like a radar to look for the person that Chen Xiaobei was searching for. At Azure Spa Resort. At this luxurious private resort, only registered members that paid annually were allowed to step foot into this place and enjoy their natural hot spring and spa. There were a total of 13 well-designed and decorated hot springs in the resort. All the eligible members of the resort could use them whenever they want. Inside this natural hot spring, there was actually one more hidden hot spring. Its design and decoration were far more luxurious than all the other 13 hot spring. Normally, this hot spring was reserved for VVIP by the owner of this resort. Boss Shi, it's done. A middle-aged looking man had just finished talking on his phone while soaking in the hot spring. He then put his cell phone aside. Immediately, a model-like woman took the cell phone from him. After that, another voluptuous woman handed him a glass of red wine. Boss Zhang, so much manners. You can just call me Little Shi. In the hot spring, there was another fatty. With a grin on his face, he said, "Thank you so much for helping me in this matter. Finally, my biggest threat is gone. From today onwards, you are my biggest benefactor. I'm doing this, not just for you. I'm doing this for my godson, Zhang Zongji too. As long as I'm still working in the State Administration of Radio and Television, I will never allow anyone to bully him." This boss Zhang was none other than the director of the State Administration of Radio and Television, Zhang Yongjian. He was the one that had Zhang Zongji's back. From the surface, he called Zhang Zongji his godson. According to rumors, Zhang Zongji was actually his illegitimate child. No one can tell whether it was fake or real news. All they knew was Zhang Yongjian was very protective of his godson. Whenever Zhang Zongji faced any problems in the entertainment industry, he would definitely take care of them for him personally. Everyone knows that you love your godson a lot. With you being here, Zongji will definitely have a bright future. A bastard like Chen Xiaobei will be crushed to dust since he is in your way. In front of you, he doesn't even have the chance to strike back. Humph. Initially, I hesitated when you told me that you wanted to kill him with explosives because I really don't want to kill anyone. Now that I know that he just injured my Zongji badly, I'm glad that he is dead. That's right. That bastard is an abomination. Should I ask someone to retrieve his body, chop into pieces and feed them to dogs? Clearly, the hatred that Shi Hoxiang had towards Chen Xiaobei was far deeper than Zhang Yongjian. Clearly, Shi Hoxiang was the one that came up with this plan to kill Chen Xiaobei, and Zhang Yongjian was supporting him every step of the way. Chop him into pieces and feed them to dogs? Little Shi! You are so cruel. But I like it. Do whatever you want to do. I want that son of a bitch to be buried in the stomach of dogs. Okay. I will ask someone to retrieve his body secretly. Shi Hoxiang then moved his finger to indicate the woman beside him to pass him his cell phone. That is really troublesome. Suddenly, they heard a calm voice. I'm already here. How do you guys want to do this? Let's play this game together. It was Chen Xiaobei striding towards them in a relaxed manner. You. Are you ghost or human? Shi Hoxiang and Zhang Yongjian were taken aback. Earlier, they were informed that Chen Xiaobei was already dead. That was why they thought they were seeing ghosts lurking around them. I'm not human nor ghost. Walking by the poolside, Chen Xiaobei looked at them from the top and said, I'm death. I'm here to collect your souls. Si. Immediately, Shi Hoxiang and Zhang Yongjian took in a deep breath. Security. Where is security? Come and help us. Stop shouting. It's pointless. Those who tried to stop me are lying on the ground now. Those who did not dare to stop left this place long time ago. There is only one option left for the two of you. You killed someone. Now, you have to pay with your lives. Chapter 675, Decapitate one's head with a strand of thread. No. Don't come near me. Let's talk about it. Clearly, Shi Hoxiang was deeply terrified. He knew better than anyone in the room that Chen Xiaobei's strength was monstrous. Last time, his entire group of bodyguards had failed to protect him. In the end, he was forced to consume a whole toilet worth of feces. There's nothing to talk about anymore. This is not the first time you come up with something to kill me. It's time to end this. Like death himself, Chen Xiaobei was impassive when he talked to Shi Hoxiang. Mr. Mr. Chen. I'm Zhang Yongjian. I'm pretty sure you've heard of me before. Let's have a peaceful talk together. Maybe this whole thing is not as bad as you think. Knowing that Zhang Zongji's bones were shattered by Chen Xiaobei, Zhang Yongjian quickly tried to calm Chen Xiaobei down. It seemed that he knew that he was going to be killed if he still chose to go against Chen Xiaobei. Okay. Just now, I heard that you admitted that you are Shi Hoxiang's accomplice. I know you want to kill me with those explosive and feed me to dogs after that. Chen Xiaobei spoke in a calm manner, but there was a terrifying pressure in his tone. No. This is just a misunderstanding. Don't come near me. Don't. Immediately, Zhang Yongjian and Shi Hoxiang could feel that a bloodthirsty beast was slowly approaching them. They might be eaten alive anytime soon. Bastard! Stop moving! Suddenly, the two women that were in Zhang Yongjian's shouted. While Chen Xiaobei was talking, they managed to get their hands on two guns. Immediately, they aimed the guns at Chen Xiaobei. Judging that Shi Hoxiang and Zhang Yongjian did not ask the two of them to leave the room when they talked about killing Chen Xiaobei, one could guess that the two of them were actually Shi Hoxiang's personal bodyguards. Ha ha ha! Son of a bitch! You dumb *CK! Do you really think I'm afraid of you? I was just trying to buy more time for my bodyguards. To him, no matter how strong Chen Xiaobei was, there was no way that he was not afraid of a handgun. Following that, Zhang Yongjian let out a sigh of relief as well. He then put on a grim smile and said scornfully, I thought this bastard is super powerful. In the end, he just another brainless dumbass. Looking at the two of them showering themselves with happiness and two handguns pointing at him, Chen Xiaobei was still calm as usual. Deep in his eyes, no emotions could be detected. Son of a bitch! Why are you still standing there? It's your turn to beg for your life. Kowtow to me now. What are you waiting for? Like an emperor, Shi Hoxiang shouted furiously. Kowtow is never enough. I want you to lick our shoes. Zhang Yongjian took a sip of red wine, and the way he looked at Chen Xiaobei was no different from looking at a low-life loser full of disdain. So, I assume this is your last words. I'm sorry, but the two of you are going to die in vain. Fearing nothing, not only Chen Xiaobei did not kneel down, he did not even slow down his steps. Bastard! Stand right there. We are going to shoot you if you don't stop moving forward. The two bodyguards tried to warn Chen Xiaobei. Put down the gun and I will spare your life. This is me playing nice. If you decide to pull the trigger, you will definitely be killed by me. That's my limit. Chen Xiaobei might sound calm, but a dominating aura was felt from his words. It was as if he had everything under his control. It seems like we need to shed some blood to stop him from coming at us. Shi Hoxiang was not happy when he saw that Chen Xiaobei was getting closer. Immediately, he ordered, "Stop wasting time trying to talk to him. Break his arms and legs. Then, we can take our time to torture him afterward." Yes. The two bodyguards responded at the same time. Petaf! Petaf! Two handguns were fired at the same time. Clearly, those two women were professional bodyguards. Their marksmanship was ridiculously good and they knew how to work with each other. Those two bullets were coming from different direction. If Chen Xiaobei was an ordinary person, his heart and head would definitely be hit by the bullets. Unfortunately, to hurt Chen Xiaobei, one needed to point the gun at Chen Xiaobei's head at a close range. Shooting from afar was virtually pointless. Swoosh! Like a phantom, Chen Xiaobei dashed towards his enemies with speed that was faster than a bullet traveling in the air. Before they realized it, the two bullets had missed him. On the other hand, Chen Xiaobei had already come to one of the bodyguard with his hands on her face. He then twisted it with force. Clack! The bodyguard's neck was broken. It was an instant kill. Oh my god! What kind of speed is that? Is he a human or a ghost? Upon seeing that, the rest of them screamed in fear. All of them looked shocked. To them, no ordinary human being could move as fast as Chen Xiaobei. They even started to doubt that it was Chen Xiaobei's spirit that came to make them pay for what they did to him. Seconds ago, Shi Hoxiang and Zhang Yongjian were still putting on tough fronts. Now, they were so terrified that as if their hearts were going to stop anytime soon. The last bodyguard was so terrified that she could only stand rooted to the ground. After years of becoming a bodyguard, she had fired countless of shots. However, she had never seen someone that could move faster than a bullet. Actually, a weapon like a gun was practically useless to individuals that came from Jianghu. Unless one pointed the gun right at the person's head or shower the person with bullet rain, if not, even a person with middle and later phase of physical stage cultivation could dodge the bullet with ease. If they thought they could use a gun to threaten Chen Xiaobei, they knew nothing about Jianghu. They were just being naive. After killing the bodyguard, Chen Xiaobei had no intention to stop attacking. Immediately, he turned around and dashed towards his next opponent. Shoot him! Now! Shi Hoxiang shouted in a hysterical manner with his body shaking uncontrollably. Yes! Yes! Immediately, the bodyguard came back to reality and started to fire her handgun at Chen Xiaobei continuously. Clearly, she knew that she would be killed if Chen Xiaobei got closer to her. The truth was Chen Xiaobei did not even need to get close to her to kill her. Twin effect, single spider silk. A string of white thread shot out from Chen Xiaobei's thousand webs bracelet after he swung his right arm. Before she realized it, the spider silk had already circled around the bodyguard's neck. Decapitate! The crowd still had no idea what was going on. All they heard was Chen Xiaobei shouting out a word. After that, Chen Xiaobei pulled the thread with all his strength and the spider silk cut deep into the bodyguard's flesh. In the end, the immense force caused the spider silk that was as tough as metal to decapitate the bodyguard's head. Chapter 676, Chopped into Pieces. Oh my god! What? What kind of monster is he? Shi Hoxiang and Zhang Yongjian wailed at the same time. Though they were soaking in the hot spring, they could still feel a chill run down their spines. Needless to say, fear had already taken over their body and crushed their souls. They were only left with despair. While walking towards them slowly, Chen Xiaobei asked in a cold manner, "What now? Do you still want me to kneel and kowtow in front of you? Do you still want me to lick your shoes?" Si. Immediately, Shi Hoxiang and Zhang Yongjian took in a deep breath. Their heads were shaking so hard that they were about to fall off. "Mr. Chen. We are at fault. We are going to kneel down in front of you. We are going to kowtow at you. Let's overcome this conflict between us in a peaceful manner. Please don't hurt us." Without wasting any time, the two of them got out from the hot spring and started to kowtow at Chen Xiaobei. "Hee hee. I have told you that I'm here to make you pay for what you did to me. No matter how long you kowtow in front of me, I will never change my mind. Don't worry. I have always acted fair and square towards others. Since the two of you wanted to chop me into pieces, I shall do the same to you guys. But I won't feed the two of you to dogs because I'm worried that toxic garbage like you will cause the dogs to have a stomach ache. No. No." Zhang Yongjian screamed and he wanted to get up and run. Seeing that Chen Xiaobei had killed two bodyguards without even flinching, he knew that Chen Xiaobei would definitely do what he just promised. "Do you really think you can get away from me? Divine Web!" With him swinging his arms casually, a dozen spider silk threads were shot out and restricted Zhang Yongjian's movements. "Mercy! Mr. Chen! I'm willing to be your pet dog if you don't kill me. I will do whatever you ask me to do. No questions asked. I can even use my authority to let you whatever you want in the entertainment industry. Please let me live this time." Shaking, Zhang Yongjian was begging for his life desperately. At that moment, he was extremely terrified of Chen Xiaobei. As long as his life was spared, he would not mind becoming Chen Xiaobei's pet. Knowing that there was nothing he could do to defeat Chen Xiaobei, he had already tossed away all his dignity. All he wanted to do right now was to succumb to Chen Xiaobei's power. Unfortunately, he had underestimated Chen Xiaobei. The entertainment industry had no value to him at all. "You do not have the right to become my pet dog." With his stare turning ice cold, Chen Xiaobei pulled the spider silk. Immediately, all those spider silks that tangled Zhang Yongjian's body tightened up. Considering that those spider silks were tougher and sharper than a knife, Zhang Yongjian turned into a pile of minced meat seconds later, completely unrecognizable. This. Standing there petrified, Shi Hoxiang almost peed his pants after seeing that his partner was killed in a horrendous way. With his mind becoming blank, he even forgot to beg for his life. It seemed like Chen Xiaobei had managed to create an unforgettable memory for him. "Hey! Come back! I have something important to talk to you about." After that, Chen Xiaobei walked towards Shi Hoxiang and looked at Shi Hoxiang from above while he was still kneeling on the ground. "Please tell me. I will do whatever you want me to do. I will never say no to you," Shi Hoxiang said while shaking in fear. "The explosion that you designed to kill me caused me to lose things that are very important to me. You have to pay back what I lost." Earlier, Chen Xiaobei had mentioned to them that he was going to make them pay him back what he lost. Monkey fur of Prosperous and Divine River spiritual water were wasted because of them. No matter what, Chen Xiaobei would want Shi Hoxiang to cover his losses. I'm willing to pay for your losses. Mr. Chen. All you need to do is talk to me. I'm willing to pay you with whatever I have with me. 10 billion. The money that you earn from selling XI Siang Entertainment's stocks should be around 10 billion. Originally, you can take this money and enjoy the rest of your life. So, now I want you to give all your money to me since you have no idea on how to appreciate your life. What? Immediately, Shi Hoxiang's eyes widened. It was true that he had 10 billion with him. Giving all of them to Chen Xiaobei would make him go broke. What now? You are not willing to do so. I'm willing to do it. But, can you at least save me some of it? Shi Hoxiang's face was completely twisted in frustration. It was as if he had just consumed a pile of warm feces. His company was taken over by Chen Xiaobei not too long ago. Now, all his money was about to be taken away by Chen Xiaobei as well. This should be the worst thing that could ever happen to a person. Unfortunately, Shi Hoxiang brought this onto himself. If he did not come out with ways to set Chen Xiaobei up, he would not be kicked out of his own company. If he did not plan to kill Chen Xiaobei, his possessions would never be taken away by Chen Xiaobei. Actually, I would love to save some for you. But, you are going to be a dead man soon. All those money is going to be useless to you. You want my money and my life. I'm going to cut to the chase. You are now left with two options. Bank in the money to my account willingly, or I will figure out some ways to make you transfer the money to me. I suggest that you take the first option. If not, you will die in a very painful way. Well, you can always pick the second option if you feel like challenging me. I will make sure to mince your flesh to something that is as fine as sand. No. I will do it myself. I will do it. Seeing that there was no more hope left for him, Shi Hoxiang went and grabbed his cell phone to transfer the money to Chen Xiaobei. Oh right. I have a new account. Swiss Bank, the account number is... Chen Xiaobei received a message not too long after he told his account number to Shi Hoxiang. Wei Suo, Master Chen, you have 10 billion in your account now. Great. I need this amount to buy something urgently. Feeling happy, Chen Xiaobei turned around, looked at Shi Hoxiang, and said, I'm going to award you a quick death since you gave me what I wanted. Swoosh. A spider silk flew across Shi Hoxiang's neck at lightning speed. Blood started to gush out from his neck and he finally died in despair, pain, and fear. Ding! You have eliminated a first-generation villain. You are rewarded with 10,000 merit points. You have eliminated a second-generation villain. You are rewarded with 20,000 merit points. Ding! Your current merit points is 980,000. You need another 2,020,000 merit points to get to the next level. Charm, 98,000. Luck, 98,000. I have done this world a justice by killing 2 villains. 30,000 merit points and 10 billion cash are now mine. Next, I can prepare to depart to Paradise Island. Feeling excited, Chen Xiaobei changed to his Night Stalker outfit and stepped on the somersault cloud to fly to the endless sky. Chapter 677, Depart to Paradise Island. After that, Chen Xiaobei spent another few days at the film base to complete his shooting. In order to convince the filming crew, Chen Xiaobei told them that he passed out during that day because he took in too much smoke. And, he was completely recovered after resting in hospital for a night. None of them doubted his reason since he managed to return to the movie production, unharmed. The name of this movie was Lin Yu the heroine after all. Naturally, most of the scenes left belonged to Tang Mengguan. Other than reshooting some of the minor scenes, Chen Xiaobei took the opportunity to complete the ending scene as well, where he met Tang Mengguan in a huge crowd. Finally, all of Chen Xiaobei's scenes were completed. Time was just right for Luo Puti and him to depart for Paradise Island. Before leaving for Paradise Island, Chen Xiaobei made a trip to Beixian faction to collect the pills that he concocted earlier. This time, he managed to produce 8 Tai life enhancement pills and 10 bone burning pills. This current production was more fruitful than the previous batch. Clearly, it was all because of his recent boosted luck. Combined with the previous pills that Chen Xiaobei produced, he now possessed 14 Tai life enhancement pills and 15 bone-burning pills. Before traveling, Chen Xiaobei would definitely carry all of them with him in case of emergency. After that, Chen Xiaobei kept his green jade cauldron and heavenly smithing furnace back to his treasure chest and went to the airport. At Dragon City's airport, Luo Puti was there before Chen Xiaobei. The combination of a black cap, long hair, and extra-large shades managed to hide her face completely. However, her small-sized t-shirt and skinny right jeans still managed to bring out her sexy and voluptuous body. With her natural ice-cold goddess aura, men were attracted to her no matter where she stood. Though she did not show her look to others, all men would still do a double take on her. Chief Inspector Luo. I'm so sorry for keep you waiting for me for so long. Chen Xiaobei strode towards Luo Puti with a smile on his face. He then tapped on her shoulder and shouted. Stop shouting. Because of this trip, I have dropped lot of work at 6 doors. That includes a few higher-up meetings. I don't want others to recognize me and accuse me of prioritizing personal business over work. Damn. Honey, are you all right? Did you drop all your work just to keep me company on this trip? Am I hearing it correctly? Paradise Island is a very special place. Since you know nothing about the place, I'm worried if you go alone. What's so special about that place? Let's board the airplane first. I will explain it to you on the airplane. After that, Luo Puti handed the flight ticket to Chen Xiaobei. Initially, Chen Xiaobei wanted to travel to Paradise Island with Luo Puti on the Somersault Cloud. However, Paradise Island was located outside China. As such, a passport and visa were needed for this trip. If not, it would be extremely troublesome if they were being caught as illegal immigrants. The boarding procedure was smooth and easy. First-class seating in the airplane allowed the two of them to have a private talking space after drawing the curtain. No one would overhear their conversation if they stayed in their private space. This flight will first send us to the Maldives. After verifying our paperwork to travel to the island, there will be a ferry sending us to the Paradise Island. It can be considered as a private island, hence it does not belong to any country. That's why it is called Paradise Island. On the island, it is filled with facilities that bring joy to people. As long as you are loaded, you will get to enjoy paradise-like treatment. What do you mean by that? You get to enjoy top-quality food and drinks. The best shopping experience. The craziest gambling experience. And men's favorite top-quality and most luxurious brothel. Luo Puti frowned when she thought about the prostitution service on the island. Clearly, she was disgusted by it. Pfft! What's wrong with the brothel over there? I'm pretty sure there are gigolos provided for those rich ladies. They really have gigolos on the island. Just be careful while you are traveling on the island. I won't be able to rescue you if someone kidnaps you and forces you to become a gigolo on the island. Damn! Since when my ice-cold goddess learn how to make a joke like this? This is rare. Considering that Luo Puti was always looking cold and emotionless, the moment she made a joke was definitely rarer than seeing an eclipse. This was a good sign for Chen Xiaobei. Cracking a joke could mean Luo Puti was slowly opening up to Chen Xiaobei. Now, she had already trusted and acknowledged Chen Xiaobei's masculinity. Sometimes, she even chose to rely on Chen Xiaobei. The day she opened up her heart to him, she would be able to accept Chen Xiaobei fully without holding back. Stop talking nonsense. Let's get back to serious business. Flushed, Luo Puti was embarrassed. Immediately, she changed the topic. Our goal for this trip should be pretty clear. We must get our hands on the 1,000-years-old ginseng. Regarding the auction, there are few things you must bear in mind. Number 1, do not expose your real identity. Second, return to our country once the deal is done. Third, Lay low. You must lay low. This is not your first day knowing me. I know a lot of things. Laying low is not one of it. What should I do now? Can you stop acting cool? Showing off will only bring you harm. Those who can travel to Paradise Island are not ordinary individuals. And, those who are rich enough to take part in the auction are even more powerful. There is a high chance the both of us will become hot targets if we manage to win the bid on the item that we want. By that time, we might not even know the way we are killed. I don't think so. With our combat power, I don't think it is necessary for us to fear those foreigners. You can think big, but you need to see further. There are just too many things in this world that you have not come in contact with. Ask Xianjiao about it if you have the chance. Then, you will know the Jianghu of foreign countries are more terrifying than our Jianghu. Jianghu of foreign countries. Taken aback, Chen Xiaobei fell into deep thought. The Six Doors organization that Luo Puti in charge of was supposed to deal with the Jianghu in China. On the other hand, the Thunder Kirin special force that Xianjiao worked with was existed to deal with the Jianghu of foreign countries. Honey. Do you know where is Bro Yu sent to carry out his mission? Judging from his combat power, he should be back by now. However, I haven't heard from him for a very long time. I'm not too sure about it as well. I think he is sent to protect someone special. Don't worry. Xianjiao now is the most powerful member of Thunder Kirin Special Force. His name will definitely be listed on the new God of War leaderboard. There is nothing that can beat him down. God of War leaderboard. Suddenly, Chen Xiaobei thought of something important. Honey, have you registered in the Heroes of War leaderboard martial arts competition? I did. Did you register to take part in it as well? No. Chapter 678, the number one genius in the entire universe. Why not? Chen Xiaobei asked, puzzled. This time, the Heroes of War martial arts competition is rather special. I know. There is an ancient faction sponsoring this martial arts competition. Not only is the reward attractive, those who manage capture the attention of the ancient faction might even receive an opportunity to be recruited to join the ancient faction. That is only half right. The winner will receive 3,000 spiritual stones. The person who places second will receive 1,500 spiritual stones. The one who places third will receive 500 spiritual stones. This is the kind of unprecedented reward that no one has seen before. Given a few generations, it is still not possible for ordinary Jianghu folks to gather this enormous amount of spiritual stones. As the saying goes, with abundant rewards, one would eventually be brave enough to do anything. Judging from the current situation, other than the previous top 10 elites that were listed on the leaderboard, there will be mysterious elites from all over the country to participate in this martial arts competition. I even heard that disciples from the ancient faction are interested in it as well. If I'm not mistaken, the ranked 1 Lu Shenyi will be pushed out from top 3 rank this year. Now, you can imagine how intense the competition is going to be. Taking part in this competition is no different from placing yourself in an extremely dangerous situation. Luo Puti tried her best to explain everything that she knew to Chen Xiaobei. She was clearly concerned about Chen Xiaobei's safety. How did you know so much about this competition? Chen Xiaobei asked curiously with a smile. I'm after all the chief inspector of Six Doors. It should surprise you that I have all the first-hand information of Jianghu. Just listen to me. Just surrender when it's your turn to fight. Your mom and dad will surely be sad if you get badly hurt. Let's not get to the ending first. Tell me, what kind of elites can cause Lu Shenyi to drop from being top 3? What if I can do the same? You? I think you should stop the tough act. I know exactly how powerful you are. Those who can take down the top 3 of the leaderboard are so powerful that even I have to avoid them. Tell me now. Stop keeping me in suspense. Considering that Lu Xunyi was first on the leaderboard for several years now and Luo Puti had already achieved true nirvana stage, it would be terrifying if someone they could not defeat joined the competition. For example, the elite that ranks second on the leaderboard, Wei Dongguo. He is around 28 years old and his combat power is around 31,000. Last year, Lu Xunyi's performance was only slightly better than his. This year, he is blessed with a golden opportunity. From what I know, his combat power had increased tremendously. Now, he is definitely stronger than Lu Xunyi. 31,000 combat power is not really that powerful. Do you have someone more powerful in mind? When will you stop acting tough? 31,000 combat power is not powerful enough for you? My current combat power is 30,000. Do you know that I have to train for at least 3 years to get an increment of 1,000 combat power? I'm not trying to act tough here. Getting an extra 1,000 combat power will only take me a day or so. Increasing 1,000 combat power in a day? Do you really think I will be stupid enough to believe in what you say? I'm going to ignore you if you continue to act tough in front of me. Alright. Alright. I will stop now. Please continue. Unbeknownst to others, all he needed to do was to train for another 5 days to achieve pinnacle phase of Qi refining stage. Then, with the help of the sky-breaking cultivation pill, he would be able to achieve true nirvana stage. That was the crazy part of the scripture of heaven and earth, the secret manual created by the prime of Tongtian. Wei Dongguo's 31,000 combat power is definitely more than enough to allow him to defeat us easily. But, no one knows whether he can keep his third position on the leaderboard this year. According to the intel collected by 6 doors, there are at least 4 persons powerful enough to grab the top 3 positions. For example, Wu Aifeng from Zibei. He is around 28 years old. For years, he locked himself in his residence to train himself. Earlier, he announced to Jianghu that he is going to take part in this martial arts competition. There were a group of people who tried to stop him. In the end, he killed hundreds of them alone. Among those hundreds of people, 3 of them were elites with true nirvana stage. To be honest, not even 3 Lu Xunyi's are powerful enough to defeat Wu Aifeng. Taken aback, Chen Xiaobei could not help but praise, "My beloved country is so vast that powerful elites were like dragons hidden all over the place." Other than that, there is this person from Miaozhong, Tai Yitan. He is around 25 years old. For years, he stayed active in the deeper part of Miaozhong. Legend had it that he had achieved true nirvana stage while he was 22 years old. The number 1 genius of China should be him. Now, 3 years had passed. I'm afraid his combat power should be around the same as Wu Aifeng. And, don't forget about Huo Yuanba. He is around 29 years old. His combat power is around 33,000. His name is well known in our country. He spends most of his life in foreign countries. You should know that he is the faction leader of Hong faction overseas. He is given the title Eastern Europe War Bear. His iron fists have allowed him to dominate the whole of Eastern Europe. Upon hearing all that, Chen Xiaobei could feel his blood rushing. With all these combat geniuses crashing this martial art competition, the silence in Jianghu would eventually be broken. An intense and unprecedented martial arts competition was brewing. Wu Aifeng, Tai Yitan, and Huo Yuanba will have the chance to take the second and third spot on the leaderboard. Who is going to get the first place? Tell me now. This man is unique. So far, 6 doors has not acquired much information about him. All I know is this person is still quite young. He should be in his 20s. It seems like he is from an ancient faction. My intel tells me that he's here to experience life. I also heard that he slapped the face of the elder from Mount Shu faction until it swelled. Maybe you don't know about it yet. Mount Shu faction is one of the most powerful ancient faction. Their elders are extremely powerful. On average, the combat power of an elder is around 40,000. No doubt, this person will surely take the first place if he decided to join this competition. Honestly speaking, this is just outrageous. I was so happy that I finally achieved true nirvana stage. However, when compares with a monster like that, I'm nothing. PFFFFFT. Chen Xiaobei could not help but laugh. The 40,000 combat power elder was none other than Situ Hongfeng. And, the monster that Luo Puti just mentioned was none other than Chen Xiaobei. Why are you laughing? Nothing. I think the rumor is exaggerated. I don't think there is such a powerful existence in this world. If there is, I think the person is the number one genius in this entire universe. Right. Chapter 679, I will marry you if you can do it. Feels like things that I heard about that guy is exaggerated as well. But, it's real. A few days ago, that mysterious man even went and looked for the Zhuang family to make them pay for what they did to him. Going in there alone, and he still managed to take them down all by himself. That is just so cool. So, that is cool. Yes. Since young, I always idolize people that are stronger than me. I wouldn't have to worry about you if you are half as good as him. Every girl in this world always wished that they would somehow fall in love with heroes that they idolized. Luo Puti was no exception. A long time ago, she told Chen Xiaobei that the man that she liked must be a hero that did great things. Immediately, Chen Xiaobei smiled and asked, "Can I marry you if I'm as powerful as that person that you just mentioned?" That's a bold statement. Regarding that mysterious person, I heard something even crazier about him. According to the rumor, he is supposed to be an almighty demigod. Do you really think you can be on the same level as him? It's all about the heart. For you, I can. Following that, Chen Xiaobei winked at Luo Puti. All right. Since you are filled with so much confidence, I shall encourage you. In 10 years, if you can become as powerful as that mysterious man, I will marry you. To Luo Puti, she knew that Chen Xiaobei was someone really special. However, she did not think that it was possible for him to surpass the demigod that she just mentioned in 10 years. Actually, Luo Puti did have the intention to break her promise. It was not necessary for her to follow her own words. The truth was she made the promise to encourage Chen Xiaobei to improve even further. Hee. Remember what you just promised me. I'm going to spank your ass if you break your promise. Chen Xiaobei did not even need to wait for 10 years to make it came true. All he needed to do was ask Situ Hongfeng and the Zhuang family to speak for him, and the truth would be unveiled. Chen Xiaobei wondered how would Luo Puti react when they called him God Chen. Finally, the flight touched down at the Maldives. This country was formed by 1,200 small islands. All these small islands were arranged in a way that all the islands were chained together, hence, the country was also known as the Pearl Necklace of God. Considering that this was Chen Xiaobei's first time traveling to another country, he was worried that he might experience culture shock. Upon arriving at this destination, he found out that there were actually a lot of Chinese living here. In a well-known traveling spot like the Maldives, the Chinese were everywhere. Some of them were here to travel. Some of them had their own businesses. To his surprise, most of them could actually converse in Mandarin. Of course, there were a lot of foreigners in this country as well. Judging from the color of their skin, one could know that there were a lot of tourists that came from different parts of the world. With Luo Puti leading the way, Chen Xiaobei arrived at a luxurious hotel that built on the seaside. "What are we doing here?" asked Chen Xiaobei. "This is the property of Paradise Island. They will have to check whether we are qualified to travel to Paradise Island. After that, a yacht will bring us to the island." "How do we know if we are qualified to travel to Paradise Island?" "You need to have at least $100 million in savings to travel to the island." "What the f***ck? That is some super high requirement. Now you know." After that, the both of them stepped into the hotel. The one that worked on checking out their qualification was an American. Though Chen Xiaobei and Luo Puti looked really young and their attires were rather normal as well, the American manager still did not dare to look down on them. From the start of the verifying process until the end, the manager had shown his utmost respect towards them. After confirming that Chen Xiaobei had 100 million in cash in his bank account, the manager had started to treat them with even more respect. People from other parts of the world are really different. Nobody looks down on anyone. That is just great. Things like that are bound to happen one way or another. However, none of them were brave enough to do so. Those who know about Paradise Island are not ordinary people. Looking down on people in Paradise Island is no different from committing suicide. Committing suicide? I don't think so. During the early days in Paradise Island, something like this actually happened. An ordinary-looking person wanted to travel to the island. However, the staff at the hotel looked down on him and mocked him. In the end, the person was so angry that he broke everyone's neck that disrespected him. From that day onwards, Paradise Island had to come up with a new set of rules. Even if a beggar mentions that he wants to travel to Paradise Island, the hotel staff has to treat him like a king. As for the beggar's qualification to enter the Paradise Island, the hotel staff can come up with another set of conclusion after checking him out. You are right. Jianghu is full of people with hidden talents. The beggar that demanded to travel to Paradise Island might be an individual like Hong Qigong. So, do not forget about the thing that I mentioned to you just now. Lay low. You must lay low. If you cause any unnecessary troubles on the island, your paradise might turn into hell for you. Don't worry. I'm always laying low. Frowned, Luo Puti was worried that Chen Xiaobei would fail to lay low eventually. Madam, sir. This is a waiting room for our VVIP customers. Please have a seat. We are still waiting for one more customer, said the manager while bowing at them politely. I remember that the yacht will depart for the island once there are customers waiting in the waiting room. Why are we waiting for the other person? There is some unforeseen problems happened today. The other two yachts that departed to the island earlier are MIA. Now, we are only left with one yacht. If the two of you are willing to wait for the other customer, our hotel is willing to provide free accommodation and food until the next yacht is ready to depart to the island. There's no need of that. We wish to depart for the island immediately, said Luo Puti. After that, Luo Puti stepped into the waiting room and Chen Xiaobei did the same as well. To their surprise, there were actually a lot of people waiting in the waiting room to travel to Paradise Island. Immediately, Luo Puti adjusted her sunglasses and cap. Still, there were people attracted to her. However, no one in the waiting were ordinary people. After realizing it, Luo Puti quickly stopped staring around to avoid offending others. Who are these people? They reek of money. The main purpose of going to the Paradise Island is to enjoy life. All these people here are ultra-rich. Look at that skinny Asian. He is the CEO of Korea Samsung Electronics, Park Chan-ho. The GDP of his company is so high that all the big companies in the country have to show him respect. The beardy that is sat beside him is the petroleum tycoon from Russia. Other than that, he is involved in firearms business as well. The wealth that he possesses is purely unimaginable. And this, it's him. Suddenly, Luo Puti was taken aback. Chapter 680, The Arrogant European Woman. The room was full of rich men, one richer than the other, one more powerful than the other, even the bodyguards following closely behind them carried an air of superiority about them. None of them were ordinary individuals. When Luo Puti introduced them, they were all very calm until they spotted an old gentleman. Who is that? Chen Xiaobei directed his eyes at him. That old Westerner's eyebrows were also white as snow and his skin was also abnormally fair. He had very deep-set reddish-brown eyes that appeared to see through everything. By his side were 4 bodyguards, in black suits and shades, all similar in size and build as if they made of the same mold. He is the Duke of the Deathbane family from America, Han Gustav. Luo Puti said, he is considered an ancient duke. He can wield dark powers that are really strong. Ding! Cultivation, later phase of true nirvana stage. Health, 40,000. Combat power, 40,000. Chen Xiaobei used his nether spirit battle scouter to gauge the old man's cultivation, which startled him. Li Xiang was Grand Duke and he had only 30,000 combat power. Next to this old man, that was nothing. At this, Chen Xiaobei noted that he should be more vigilant. While he was doing that, he also looked at all the other rich men's bodyguards. Practically all of them were at half-step true nirvana cultivation and there were around 3 of them who were at true nirvana stage. Chen Xiaobei could not help but gasp. Those who were able to set foot in Paradise Island were all so powerful, even their bodyguards were so valiant. No wonder Luo Puti kept telling him to lay low. It would be really messy to offend any of these people. That's strange, Chen Xiaobei suddenly asked, these are all high-profile men, why is it that they waiting so patiently for the last guest? I haven't heard a single complaint. How odd. Yeah, you're right. Luo Puti was suddenly very aware. These people are normally insufferably arrogant. How is it that they are willingly squeezing into a yacht? Unless... Chen Xiaobei understood immediately. Unless the person who will be arriving is far more high-ranked than they are. As he was speaking, the door of the rest area swung opened. The ultra-rich all stood up. And there was reverence written all over the faces of those strong bodyguards. Obviously, the final guest had arrived. Naya. Luo Puti's voice was filled with nervousness as she raised her gaze. A gorgeous blonde walked in with 8 bodyguards trailing behind her. They were a mix of blacks, whites, and even Asians, and they were all very well built. Again, Chen Xiaobei used his nether spirit battle scouter to look at them and their combat power was between 30,000 and 40,000. How scary! That's the same as that Duke of the Deathbane family. Needless to say, that golden hair woman's ranking was extremely high since she owned such powerful bodyguards. At first glance, her looks and body were pretty attractive. She would score at least an 80. Her golden locks fell around her face in large waves and she was wearing an extravagant long dress. The perfect tailoring showed that it is the work of a famous designer made especially for her. Draped around her shoulders was a white suede jacket that showed off the very low neckline that framed her snow-white cleavage. It was the perfect balance of sexy and elegant. Her neck was adorned with a stunning sapphire necklace that rested on her cleavage, conspicuously. An expert would be able to tell that that was a spiritual item that exudes water, a tribute spiritual chi nourishing her body. Surely, if an ordinary person wore this spiritual item, the person would definitely be marked and killed. But this woman did not mind at all. Surely those who dare touch her things would be digging their own graves. Ms. Naya. Ms. Naya is here. The ultra-rich came running up to her, greeting her with utmost warmth. Even though they were not ordinary people, when it came to bootlicking, they were no different from regular people. Ms. Naya, you look absolutely breathtaking. Oh please. Everybody knows that. Everywhere she goes, she exudes charm. She is such a goddess. Miss Naya, you are just too beautiful. It's my pleasure to meet you. In a flash, all of the ultra-rich were busying themselves, gushing and praising her. These people are pretty proficient in English, so they did not have to worry that no one understood them. Naya, on the other hand, was taking in their flattery. She deliberately slowed down her pace, basking in this feeling of being encircled like a star. She was born into an aristocratic family, had already grown used to this kind of treatment since she was young. Proud, confident, and filled with superiority, as if she was the only goddess absolutely deserving of all this. You pervert! Why aren't you looking at Naya's breasts? Why are you looking at me? Luo Puti and Chen Xiaobei remained by the window. Chen Xiaobei kept staring at Luo Puti, making her feel uneasy. What is there to look? She's only worth 80 points. Compared to my wife, she is 10 million miles away. Chen Xiaobei shot her a smile. Oh, don't sweet talk me. Luo Puti mewled. After listening to Chen Xiaobei's compliment, Luo Puti was filled with happiness. However, her eyes were covered with shade. No one could read her emotions. When Nia looked across the room, her mood darkened and she said with disdain, "Who are they? Don't they know the rules?" Chen Xiaobei looked at Luo Puti and asked, "What rules?" "I don't know. I only know who she is. I've never had any contact with her." Luo Puti shook her head. "The two of you. Why don't you roll over here and greet Ms. Nia?" a tall blonde chided angrily. Hearing this really ticked Chen Xiaobei off. "Oh, I know very well how to greet, but I don't know how to roll over. Would you mind showing me how to do it?" Chen Xiaobei, Luo Puti felt a headache coming. She really believed that this time, Chen Xiaobei would be able to keep a low profile, but it was only for 3 whole minutes. On the other hand, Luo Puti was not the type of woman you can step all over. She could also understand why Chen Xiaobei reacted the way he did. After all, she was rather annoyed too. And of course, because they voiced it out, someone else was bound to get angry. "That accent, you must be Chinese." Nia shot them a look of disdain and said, "I should have ordered the people on Paradise Island to ban dogs and Chinese from entering. Allowing them to travel to the island profanes the word paradise." When she had finished talking, she made a point to make a passing glance at the president Samsung Electronics, Park Chan-ho. "I'm not Chinese. I'm Korean. Korean Semita." Park Chang-ho quickly explained. Chen Xiaobei glared at her and spat. "Stupid.